Good morning, beautiful people across Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean, and anywhere you may be viewing Book Club Corner today. My name is Jewel Green, and of course, we're in the capital city of beautiful Scarborough, Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and we welcome you to the set today. Every Wednesday, we chat with local authors and the publishing stakeholders of the publishing industry about their love for the literary arts, their love for the written word, and about books. And we have with us today an amazing author, nothing different than we have had every Wednesday, amazing authors, and his name is Officer Arthur Carr. And we welcome Officer Carr to the set. Officer Carr, of course, has he has a lot of accolades. Let me see if I could remember everything Officer Carr has been doing. He's been quite a busy intellectual bee. Officer Carr has a bachelor's in criminology and public safety. He also holds a Bachelor of Science in environmental and natural resource management. He has a master's in environmental science and management, a certificate of law enforcement administrative development, and he is also a member of the American Society for Industrial Security. Officer Carr, are you here with us? Good morning to you.
No place like home, home, home.
Oh, I love Tobago, baby.
When we outside, it's an ocean of love. All that we align to the stars up above. Let we dance now, take a chance now with me. And we go jump till morning. Look, the moon gone sleeping. Tell them we not leaving till the last drop of a canal is madness in the capital. So I feel like I'm running tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Live with all my friends and them. No place like home, home, home. We go jump till the moon come down. It's we who the stars shine on. Play a mass and break away. Freedom in we DNA.
So we had a quick break, a little carnival interlude, but we're back here with Officer Carr, Arthur Carr that is, and we're chatting with him today about his book. Officer Carr, are you with us?
Yeah.
Wonderful. We're so happy to have you here with us today. How are you?
I am great.
And how is Trinidad?
It's sunny today. Quite a contrast from yesterday, which was quite rainy.
You're telling me Tobago is the same. It was pelting cats and dogs yesterday. I walked out the house today, blistering sun.
Amazing,
So we have
amazing.
to contend heat and rain. Let me tell you, that's the rainy season. That's the Caribbean for us, right? And we're in
That's
hurricane season as well, so we have to remain prepared. Officer Carr, on Book Club Corner, I don't know how many episodes you have watched, but on Book Club Corner, we do a little sip, a little chat, and we have sweet potato wine today. I know you're a fitness freak, and we didn't get any sweet potato wine across to you in Trinidad. So you have some water. I don't know if it's distilled. I don't know if it's
what?
Evian. I don't know. I
Just
don't, I
plain
don't know
tap.
if it's spring water. Right? But we are having a little sip today, and we're having some sweet potato wine from Joe Field. You know, he is one of our main wine sponsors, and we love to support local. We only drink local wine here on Book Club Corner, right? We support
I love it.
local. We support them fiercely, right? And we are doing the 5 S's of wine tasting, where we see the wine. So we look at the color, the clarity. Then we swirl the wine. We look at the viscosity. We look at the legs. That tells us how sweet it is. And we sniff the wine. We're looking for the hints, floral hints, spices, all of those undertones and notes. And
My
then we
notebook.
sip and we savor. So I invite Officer Carr to sip and savor on his spring water.
Well, I can't look at it, but I will swirl it a little bit.
I love it. You're getting into the spirit of it, man. That's how you do it.
Yes.
You have to swirl the water. You have to sniff the water. Yeah. Do the 5 S's of is it government juice?
Yes, it is. A hint of the minerals. Yes.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Well, I see you're quite the busy intellectual bee. Where do you find the time? I mean, 2 bachelors, a master's, a certificate, and you're also working on something else. Tell us what
Yes.
is happening with you academically now. What else you're into?
So currently I'm working on, well, you did say before, I am a member of ACES, the American Society for Industrial Security. So I'm currently working on my CPP certification. So it's a certified protection professional. That's the latest in my study journey.
Mm-hmm.
I firm belief that you have to keep the mind, always tuning. So it's good to always challenge yourself. And I think it's just a matter of any time that I think that I'm at a place where, maybe I'm not sure if this is where I want to be, I quickly navigate what other options are there. So my first degree really was a
I'm
matter of,
getting bad feedback.
sorry, is this better?
Officer
Is it better
Carr,
now?
are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you clearly.
Okay, well, I'm getting some feedback. Okay, are we back on?
Is it better now?
Every time you speak, there's this noise. I don't know where it's coming from.
How about now? Is this working better now?
So the technical team is there on it. So when
Okay.
you talk about the keeping the mind tuning, I just want to put out there for all our other intellectual busy bees out there, keeping your mind tuning, you can do it in a variety of ways, and
Oh, yeah.
I love that you have so many qualifications, because I had a mother like you. She did not want to stop school at all. She loved academics, right? From the time you start, she looking for something to sign up to do, and from the time they give her the assignment, my girl head into the library first thing. She not even giving them a break. She headed straight to the library to start her assignments. And I am also in UE, and I saying to myself, this woman making me look bad. What is she doing? Right? I said, Mommy, you're doing too much. Relax, right? So I completely understand, and I commend you. I commend you for the enthusiasm you have, and that that real feeling that you must keep going. So it's wonderful that you're doing that, and you're doing that alongside your career as a police officer. You're doing it alongside your additional career of being an author, right? And you have an amazing book called So You Want to Be a Police Officer.
Yes, it is definitely a challenge to balance it all, but challenge accepted. So I guess at this point in my life, I have no choice but to find a way to balance it as a father, and husband. It's really important. So it's not just the career stuff, but also the family and the relationships that also have to be kept in check as well. So it's just a matter of being, I think of it as just a matter of being a responsible man and, just doing what you are called to do. So that's how I look at it.
I think it's fantastic. Yes, and what you're doing as, as a father, a husband, as a Trinbagonian in society, lifting the bar, keeping the standard high, right, in what is required, especially of police officers. A lot of times people in careers think, I'll just do development things. So they'll go do fingerprinting courses, or they'll do X, Y, and Z, or forensics, or whatever else you'll do. Because you'll do a lot to fight crime, as they say, right? So there are a lot of courses that you can do, but you are also adding to that. You have the environmental thrust and all of that, and I think it's amazing. You're such a good example for us here in Trinidad and Tobago of what police, in terms of just super smart, right? Super smart. We talk all the time about what the requirements are, and I read somewhere, it's one of the hardest jobs and it's one of the easiest jobs to get. It's too hard to be so easy to get. That's what they were saying about it. But, once you get in, they don't expect you to stay at that level. They expect you to tool up. And I think that's one of the things that persons do. Tell us about that. That ability in the police force to tool up. You may start coming in with X amount of subjects and, perhaps not as, not as academically padded up, but your ability to get those things. Tell us about that, and tell us about your colleagues. Where are your other colleagues as well in terms of going into the academics and getting more skilled? You're not leaving the police force as you came in.
So, contrary to the common belief, a lot of my colleagues are, well academically padded, as you said. You would be surprised, even in my batch of officers, a lot of us entered the service with our undergraduate degrees already in hand. I think the biggest challenge for officers in terms of just increasing their academic proficiency, I think it's a matter of time. The workload it's not easy. This job it takes a lot out of you, especially according to where you are posted. So it really is a matter of teamwork for you to even have a chance to do extra studies. It requires your colleagues to have your back and actually, allow you that space and time to get some studies in. So it really, depends on your relationships. And that's why, before, relationships are actually very important when it comes to anyone trying to pursue studies in this career. I was fortunate to have a lot of great colleagues over the years who would have, really accepted, there are a lot of compromise. So there would be times where I would stay back late on the days that, I wouldn't have classes. And the days that I did have classes, I would ensure that, I was the first one in. So at least, the handover, the change in shift could take place without any worries, and so that's how we worked in tandem to ensure that this entire thing was possible, but just in my immediate department, a lot of my colleagues well qualified.
I just love that. I feel proud. I don't know you and your colleagues personally, but I feel proud to know that the police force and the officers in the police force are tooling up and becoming more skilled. Even if you came in with, the minimum requirements, there's no reason why you can't elevate yourself. And this happens across the board in all careers. But as we said,
Correct.
in the police force, we seem not to understand that, or perhaps we tend not to see it quite as often. So I thank you for
think-
being such a shining example of what is the norm. You're not the
Yes.
exception to the rule of what is the norm for the police officers. We're going on a quick break. We're going to come back with Officer Carr, and we're going to be talking about his experience as a first-time author. He's not just a police officer, right? He's not just one of those persons who come and kick down the door and help you when you're in distress. Right? He's not just that. He's not just an academic. He is an author. And when we come back, we're going to be getting into that book. See you in a few minutes.
Deltec Distributors Weekend Special Wings Friday, 3 pounds wings, 2.5 kilogram fries, special 100 TT Soup Saturday, 2 pounds cube beef, 2 pounds cow heel, 2 pounds chicken foot, 2 pounds pigtail, or smoke bone, special $150. Super Sunday, 3 pounds leg and thigh chicken, 3 pounds sliced pork, 3 pounds lamb slice, 3 pounds cheese, 2 pack of pasta, special $250. Located Main Road, Argyle, Tobago. We deliver 20 TT. Contact us on deltecdistributors.com 395-5040 or 237-0102. Deltec Distributors Weekend Special.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Get your quality furniture and appliances at Standards. Frigidaire gas range $599. Serta base and mattress $1,899. RC 50-inch smart 4K TV as low as $2,599. Yes, at Standard. Nobody beats us on price. Believe it.
Welcome back to Book Club Corner, where every Wednesday we chat with local authors, and today we have yet another amazing local author. We have Mr. Arthur Carr, Officer Carr, with us today, and we are chatting with him about his book, So You Want to Be a Police Officer. Welcome back, Officer Carr. This is his book, You Want to Be a Police Officer. I love that police tape across the front cover of that book. And the police lights. Well, you can't mistake what this book is about. When I looked at this cover, right, and I saw the police tape, I say, well, listen, this have to be about procedure and murder, and I love a good murder. I love a good thriller, right? So I say yes. We get in some killing. I'm so sorry, but that's me. I have a horror brain. So I said, okay. And then I got into the book and I was like, okay. So this is about, getting through the police, how to get from point A to B, your experience. And I love that the beginning of the book gave some background into how policing started right here in Trinidad and Tobago, right? And you talked about, the fact that it was kind of a mirror image or a kind of replication of the colonial system. Tell us about that, that beginning of your book. Why did you decide to give us that history and that background, which I think is super important? Why did you go that way to write this book, and why did you do nonfiction?
Well, I how would say I think that everything that you read, there should be some sort of context given, and I wanted to ensure that I placed the service in a particular light where persons would understand exactly the reasons why things may have evolved the way they have. So, it's people like to believe that, immediately, things should happen in a particular way. But when you are able to see the context and really see the transition, you get a better picture of what it is, the service is experiencing and what needs to be done to make it even better. So that was the reason really. And me choosing nonfiction, I mean, I love fiction, yes, but I believe that a lot of the things in our society is a matter of us now. We have reached a point where we have to face reality. And there are things I think persons are sometimes afraid to address, directly. And I think nonfiction, that choice was for me to really get persons to just face reality of this is what exists. You don't have to hide in a fantasy world or existence. This is the reality we have. And, these are just my, opinions or my observations and my thought processes that are going into how we could solve some of these issues.
Mm-hmm. I I couldn't agree with you more. When you talk about, what person's expectations are versus the reality, and I think if I'm getting you correctly, that's what you wanted to bring to the table. The reality of what the police force, what law enforcement is in Trinidad and Tobago versus what people, what their expectation is. And I think that is something that needs to be addressed, an expectation versus reality, or where it would have come from, and perhaps looking at where it can go, where we're heading as, a law enforcement entity or a country with a law enforcement. What does the public need from their law enforcement officers at this time? I want to bring up the issue of crime. Right, we're hearing so much of it in the news, and especially here in Tobago, we're having quite a time of it, right? A lot of people are still in a state of mental shock when they look at the numbers. Like, that can't be Tobago. When we talk about crime, criminality, the criminal mind or the process or whatever, terminology we use for it, what is your take on how perhaps what would be a better process, or if what is happening now is a good process, how are we addressing it? Is that the best way we're addressing it? And of course, we know, we're not looking for perfection. We're human beings. But what do you think about what's happening and how we should be addressing it, even as citizens, not just law enforcement? How can citizens approach this issue of crime?
So I laughed last night a bit when I recognized all the days I would be doing this interview with the day after, a weekend of just a lot of loss, and I knew that I would have to address something like this. So I don't want to say things that would seem as though I'm condemning the actions of anyone. But what I would say is this: I think that we as a society have come to a point where the, I would say, the gentle approach to some of these things is certainly not working, and there's need now to do something that we know may not show results immediately, but would show results down the road. And I think a decision like that takes a lot of guts, and it takes will from those in positions to change things. So what I'm saying is, we all know just from anecdotal evidence that a lot of the crimes start from just basically poor home environments. You know, that criminality starts at home. We need to do some things that address how community works. You know, how, if there's a single parent situation, how does the rest of the community get involved and ensure that this child does not go astray? Now, these sort of efforts are not going to have overnight success. And I think what happens with the modern society, the modern world, we expect that, you know, we have some sort of data that would show up immediately. Tomorrow, you're going to see, all right, you know, there were 5 crimes, murders yesterday. Today we only have 1, and you know, you base it on those things. But when you do other background work, a lot of the times those things do not show up in the stats book. So, for instance, if you are an officer who has spoken to 5 possible gang member recruits, and you have turned them around from getting involved in a gang, you have literally stopped, perhaps in the long term, about 30 or so murders. And that is how I think we have to switch our mind. So I think that is some of the things that we have to do when we are thinking strategically. We have to stop just looking at the immediate. And of course, the immediate is important. There are things that we have to stamp out, of course, now. But we also have to do it in conjunction with the long-term strategies, you know. And I think more of that needs to be done, getting involved with the communities. The communities are no longer feeling as though they're safe because they have no idea who the officers are. You know, the number of officers doing foot patrols in the areas outside of cities, it's almost non-existent. You know, non-existent. And, you know, you want to improve the image of the officers, the police service, by getting them involved in community projects, etc. So that's my view on it. I hope it's not viewed as too much of a politically correct stance, but just trying to ensure that I say it in a way that doesn't seem as though I'm trying to you know, step on anyone's toes.
Well, I think what you're offering, especially since you are a police officer yourself, right? You're in the trenches. This is a high octane job and it's highly demanding. And I think more solutions and perhaps more approaches should come from those in the trenches versus those who may be just like myself, a man in the street, a woman in the street kind of thing, or versus somebody who just thinks they know what will work, right? Something that might give you clicks and paper clicks, as they say, pay-per click and pictures. But if we look to create perhaps a think tank from those who are in the trenches, who are seeing the effects and understanding what the causes may be, right? I think perhaps that might be a good approach. I mean, we couldn't lose to try it, right? And I appreciate your suggestion. Officer Carl, when we look at this book you have written, so you want to be a police officer, right? And it really talks about getting into the career. how to get into the career of a police officer, perhaps even giving persons that clarity into perhaps why they should become, or why perhaps they shouldn't become a police officer if the job isn't for you. Yeah, or if it's exactly what you were made to be doing, because this is not just for defense, it's not just for law enforcement, it's also to help communities. Tell us why you decided to write a book that was more on the path of career guidance, right? More on the path of career development, and how is your book being used right now?
Well, my decision to write this book, in that sort of from that angle, really came from my own experience. You know, prior to me becoming a police officer, I was an environmental scientist with hazardous waste company, Green Engineering, and even before that, I was a teacher, and also I worked at Ace Wright Nature Center for a little bit. And my thinking prior to coming into the service was that the service had quite a few problems that I thought were obvious. And I thought that the fixes were quite obvious as well. And it's because my brother was an officer before me, and I would constantly chastise him about some of the decisions that I would see, unfold, publicly. And I would say, "What's wrong? It's an obvious fix. Why are you all not doing it this way and that?" And it is only when I got into the service that I really saw for myself, some of the challenges that persons do face, and it's easy for those on the outside, especially, and I say this, especially academics, to believe they know everything about the service. And it's really, they do such an injustice to what it is, the complexity of the police services, the challenge of really getting constantly abused at times from the public, and still going out there each and every day with a smile on your face, and then you also have to understand that when you're facing those conditions and then you're returning home to your own family, you have to be able to switch it off and become a loving father or mother, each and every day. It's quite a challenge. And persons do not understand fully, what they're facing when they enter the service. And those who are looking at officers from the outside, don't appreciate the hard work, that some of these officers go through each and every day. So it really was my way of really showing persons, this is what happens, this is what you will face if you want to become an officer, and this is what the service requires and the country to be when that decision. So I looked at, that ability to be fair, that need for you to have integrity, those things, those qualities that I think are very important for persons who are thinking or desirous of becoming police officers.
A lot of times, I couldn't agree with you more. I really couldn't. When we think of police officers, I don't think we understand how much compartmentalization needs to happen for you to be able to exist as, in the job as a police officer, a father or a mother, a daughter, a wife, a sister, to be able to go through those roles. And I think because that job is so, the dichotomy between normal, regular citizen life and the job of a police officer, it's such a divide, it's such a wide divide. You really have to decide, make a decision. This is what I'm doing. This is what is going to be required, and I am going to have to dig deep to do this job and to do it well and to do justice to my family while I'm being, doing this job. While I was reading your book, a song came to mind. I don't know if you know or remember it. Lavinder is his name. He's a police officer himself, and he sang a song, I Come to Show What Police Can Do, right? It's a oldie, right? And he's here, and that's the idea a lot of persons have about the police officer, right? That they come in to kick down your door and to mash up the place and to break up your bones. And when you listen to that song, right, I come to show what police can do. He is having a go at it, right? Because he's dealing with a domestic violence situation, and you can tell how it impacted him as a person. You know, seeing what this person, the perpetrator, had done, and wanting to revisit it on him, so the perpetrator could understand, this is what you're doing, right? And I will make you feel it. And a lot of times that's what they think, that's all the police are here for. They're here to break up bones and, you know, kick in doors and, and knock down criminals, kill people and take numbers, no prisoners. It's so different when you actually talk to a police officer about what is needed, and when you start to talk about that thrust into society in terms of being the cure, not the enforcer, but being the cure, talking to parents and getting their buy-in for some of the things that need to get done in their household, in the community, to keep the community safe, to keep the young people away from gangs. I think it's a monumental task you're doing, and I really enjoyed reading your book. We're going on a quick break, but I think this is a book that is not just a career guidance. I think this may be something that can help all citizens rewire how we think about our police officers and perhaps have a new respect for them, right? I have an immense amount of respect for police officers. For me, it's because, when they are needed, that's when you start to feel, oh, thank God for the police, right? when as a young person, I'll give you a situation. We had somebody come around the property, right? We were watching TV, it was late at night, and we were hearing somebody walking outside. And of course, we were like, mommy, because my father had passed away by then. Mommy, and she went in she went for her go-to weapon. She went in the back of the fridge for the puya. She pulled it out and she started screaming. She was the protector at that point. She started saying, hey, and it ching. And she there, you can't come inside. Only call the police. I mean, you have a saying in your book, after God is police, right?
That's correct.
oh God, who outside? My mother wasn't the oh God kind of person. She was it, right? So she say, what? Somebody outside? Call the police. And she got the puya and she started to make noise all around every window she going by. We calling the police right now. And you better get out of the yard and all of that. And it's when you feel the need for that support, that's when you like, oh, thank God it have police. We had a Cayman come in the yard, and who did we want to call? We didn't call Ghostbusters. Who we call? We call the police. They came. For Cayman.
It's funny you said that, because, a lot of the times, I think that is what, is so crazy about this job, is that it's so important for when persons are in those desperate situations that the police do arrive. Because I think that is the difference between persons having confidence in the service or not. It's not about the basic, it's about those times where things are desperate and they really did depend on the police and no one showed up. That's going to make a big difference. That person is no longer going to support the police. And when you lose some persons in certain communities more than others, it's very difficult to bring them back. And I think that is the challenge the police service is facing today. There have been times, that persons have been in their desperate situation and they've called and no one answered the call. And that's so unfortunate. And that's some of the work that the police service definitely needs to do.
Restorative work, that's bringing back the community confidence. And you're completely correct. once there's that disillusionment about, we called and no one came, we called, we didn't get any help, y'all don't help anybody, what y'all good for, that kind of thing. And I think what you're talking about is restoring confidence in the fact that y'all are going to be there. And I really, really appreciate what you're saying. When we called and we say, it never came in the yard, somebody better come. They turned up, right? It was just a Cayman, people.
They can't like, but they were there to support.
Yeah, it was hissing in a corner. I had come back home after church, and my mother, she grew up in Caroni, so she was so comfortable. And she was like, Joel, if you're calling me for a frog, you better not be a frog you're calling me for. I'm not coming to help you. Get in this yard. And I said, no, it's something else. I don't know what it is. She came down the drive and said, oh, that's a baby. And I was like, this woman serious? Call the police and they say, Miss Green, what do you want us to do? We could shoot it, Oh, but we don't really keep caimans, so we don't know what we arrest people, not caimans. But are you planning those kind of anecdotal stories? I know you must have a million of them.
Yeah, definitely. You have a lot of stories. Persons call for sometimes what we as normal citizens would think as nonsensical reasons, but it's something that bothers that particular person. So the mission really is just to ensure that we make that citizen feel comfortable. And restore that sort of belief that all right, anything happens, I can call the police. And that's just one of the first steps. Something happens, the police are there, and even if they can't solve it themselves, they show some sort of initiative to be able to get it solved on your behalf, or show you exactly what to do to get it done. And that's basically how it goes. But there are tons of stories that we would have had over the years. Random. I remember one of them. This is me taking a huge risk when I was a police officer still at Central Police Station in Port of Spain. We were on foot patrol and someone saw a homeless man with a huge blade in his waist. And he was not doing anything with it. He was just walking, minding his own business. And because he was so concerned, we decided, no, we have to remove this blade from this guy. And we went and we confronted the man, and he pretended almost as if he didn't know that we were even there. And so at that point, it was, well, it's all or nothing. And I just went in and I took the blade away from him, and and he continued walking. He didn't even turn, he didn't do anything. And I always think about that moment, how terribly that could have gone. But luckily God was with me and it worked out well. But there are times where another officer may have just ignored it, and that man would have gone off thinking, police don't do nothing, boy. I asked them to look at that and they didn't even check it. And those sort of things are quite important for me, in terms of ensuring at least I give some sort of effort to solve an issue.
I'm a true crimes girl. I'll watch true crimes all day long. Are you planning, or in the works, is there a book coming where we're going to get true crime stories, maybe from retired persons, because we don't want you all to open up yourself to disciplinary action or, criticism from but is there any works, perhaps a book where, the police you're planning to put together some comical stories, some true stories? Tell me, please.
I have been, asked by some colleagues to really work on something like that, but I know that would be a mammoth task. There are some what we call the little legends, of scenarios that would have taken place in the service over the years that persons would laugh their heads off if they heard some of these stories. But of course, we would have to protect the identities of these persons. But it would really be, something for persons to read, the comical side of things. I mean, when things go completely crazy and yet, you can laugh at it now because it works out, but really, really crazy stories, I can tell you that I've heard over the years, and some that I would have witnessed, definitely it's something that I'm thinking of doing, but again, I'm still working, so I'm not sure how I'd find the time to do it, but it's something that I have thought about, and persons have spoken to me about it, of that possibility, because we know it would be something.
I'm just putting in a plug. One word, movie. I, I love a good movie and a television series. If you all only start, imagine with our our kind of incentive and panache for comedy here in the Caribbean. We tend to see the comedic value in a lot of things that other person's ready to cry for. So, I think this is gold. I'm just putting that out there. And when you put it, all you have to do is just put mini credits, right? Just put my name. I want no royalties, right? Listen,
I can do the audiovisual department, perhaps, and see what we can do.
Fantastic. Listen, we're going on a quick break. This conversation is so engrossing. I am enjoying myself thoroughly. Thank you so much for being here, Officer Carr. But we're going on a quick break, and when we come back, you're going to be reading to us from your book, So You Want to Be a Police Officer. Listen, go and get your snacks if you drink out all your juice. As Officer Carr, if you drink out all your water, all your government juice with a hint of mineral, he said, right? If you drink it out, go and get some more, get some snacks, come back, don't go far. We're going on a quick break. See you in a few minutes.
On Sunday, 28th July, Fandango, in collaboration with KCNN Rentals, presents Christmas in July at Signal Hill Senior Comprehensive Family Extravaganza and Expo from 11 a.m. Sorrel, ginger beer, hops and ham, crab and dumplings, pop-up market, health fair, and more. Show starts 2 p.m. Free gifts and toys for the kids. Fun and games, live entertainment. Tickets at Party Paradise, Scarborough, Sherwood Foods, Canby, Triple L Minimart, Spring Garden, Fairways Restaurant and Lounge, Lowlands, Economy Veggie Mart, Penny Servers Compound, Zoya Vessels, Bill Brown Compound, CPA Computers, Port Mall, only $100 at the door. You pay more. For info, 399-4030 or 682-2888. Christmas in July. Bring the whole family and have a grand time.
Oh yeah! I said I can't wait for Bago in October.
Embark on an adventure to the greatest little island on the planet. Tobago invites you to ritual, revelry, and release.
Whining in the Bago sun, having Bago fun in Bago drinking rum. We go jump up and carry on.
From October 25th to the 27th, 2024, experience the energetic vibe, the vibrant colors, and the unforgettable spirit of the Tobago Carnival.
Down here in Tobago.
Whether you're tripping down the road or marveling at the beauty and creativity of our artisans, Tobago Carnival is an adventure.
I said I wait and I wait and I wait and I wait for Carnival to come. So I call all my friends, making my plans for the Bago Carnival fun.
Join us for ritual, revelry, and release. Tobago Carnival 2024, where every moment is memorable.
I said I can't wait for Bago in October.
welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago, across the wider Caribbean, wherever you may be viewing Book Club Corner today. We welcome you back. We're here with Officer Carr, author Arthur Carr, and he has written a book called So You Want to Be a Police Officer, right? And we're chatting with him about his book. He's going to be reading to us soon, so get comfy. Officer Carr, get ready. Are you ready for us? Because I'm ready, yeah?
Sure. I'm ready.
Very good.
I'm
So
going
you
to,
take it away, please. He's reading from his book, So You Want to Be a Police Officer.
so I am going to read from chapter 3, all right, the section called Early Introspection. And this is coming after chapter 1, which is Meeting the Standard, and chapter 2, which is Shaping the Future. So, The Awakening, chapter 3, and now Early Introspection. Whilst undergoing this latest learning curve, officers are forced to question themselves. Officers ask the question, am I solving the problem, or am I a contributing factor to these problems? Essentially, the actions of the police can easily be deemed as harsh and inconsiderate at times. The job can be considered one of the most unforgiving occupations that exist. On one hand, if you perform your duty to the letter, you are praised by your colleagues and the victims of crimes for your persistence and great work. However, on the other hand, when this unflinching approach to law enforcement is taken regarding a person who is deemed by society to be a popular personality or a minor or otherwise upstanding citizen, you are judged to be harsh, overly aggressive, and without passion. Not only do you realize how critically your decisions are judged, you realize how drastically your life has changed. The previous carefree life is no longer acceptable. You are now perceived to be a person of wisdom, someone persons turn to for advice, the personification of excellence. It hits you that no longer are you overlooked by the community, but your opinions matter. You are the guardian of what is good. The pressure is on, and admittedly, some thrive in this environment and others are crippled by this pressure. The life of a police officer is one in which every decision he makes on the job, at the end of the day, he sits down and questions whether his decision is going to be frowned upon or praised. This is because, like a medical surgeon, almost every decision an officer makes affects the lives of others.
You spoke a mouthful, as they say here in Tobago. You have spoken a mouthful, author Officer Carr. What a thing to have such a weight on you for any decision that you make. I mean, how has that affected you? I really love that excerpt you read. It gives the understanding of just how much it affects an officer. One, the perception that persons have about what they've decided to do and how they've done their job, as well as how it will affect them actually in their job. How has this affected you in terms of how you do your job and the pressures that are brought to bear on you as a police officer in terms of the decisions that you make?
I think for me, I would say one advantage that I had entering the service was perhaps my experience prior to entering the service. Having a job before, experiencing that work-life balance challenge did sort of help me navigate some of the things that, I would have been experiencing as an officer. My job before was quite challenging, working on the field and then back to the office and trying to make certain, I would say, well, timelines, etc. And having some persons' managerial styles may be different from others, but you have a lot of tough love. And entering the service, I was able to, be calm with some of the situations that I faced. And this is why I sometimes have a bias with respect to how old persons should be before they come into the service. I do honestly believe that 18 years old is, and I've said this before, and I'm going to continue saying it. 18 years old is quite young for the challenge that the service presents you with. It's quite young. I think persons need to be honest about how they were when they were 18 and the jobs that they would have entered at 18 compared to the job of being a police officer. It pales in comparison, and we really need to be honest about if persons are capable of challenging themselves to that level at that age. And of course, there are exceptions to the rule, but it really is, it's almost as though you're trusting persons into directorship, at 17, at 18, it's ridiculous almost what we are asking persons to be able to deal with, and of course, a lot of them answer the call, and perform admirably. But it really is quite a challenge. And I think it's something that we honestly should look at. Is it too young? Is it too much we're expecting from persons at that age? And of course, when they learn to cope with it in their own way, how do we then, how can we be angry or upset when they have learned to cope with those challenges in their own way? So it's just something that I have come to see, and I strongly believe that it's something that we should look at.
I think you hit the nail on the head there with the entrance, the age for entry. We do consider once you get to the age of being an adult, and our adult suffrage is from 18. So once you're 18 years old, we consider you now to be an adult, and science backs it up in terms of development of the brain and the brain stem, right? So we're not expecting your brain to be growing anymore past a certain age, and therefore we're thinking you're fully developed, you're fully acclimatized into your role as an adult. But this is still early adulthood, right? 18 is early. You're an adult, but you're now becoming, right? You're now learning how to be who you are and who you will be, right? And you still are changing. So I think that is very, very telling what you're saying in terms of how early we get admitted into that kind of pressure cooker situation. And I think that's something to be considered. Obviously, we have some very mentally strong 18-year-olds, not denying that, but I think the average 18-year-old, even if you're mentally strong, this type of job is something that you may need to take a step back and ask, am I the right type of material to get into this kind of profession? So yeah, listen, you are talking about so many important things, not just in this conversation today, but in your book. I admonish, listen, this is a book for all households, every library, every bookshelf, every school, every classroom, every office should have a book like this, giving us kind of an insight, right? Whether you use it for career development, whether you're using it as a career guidance tool, right? But it is something that is going to give some good insights into this police force. And in a time where we're looking to, as citizens, be partners with the law enforcement, because that's what we are. We are partners, right? We're stakeholders. We have to make sure we understand what we're getting into. We're heading into the green room, and this is a time where we get to share our insights, Officer Carr, with the publishers and authors and persons out there interested in the literary arts. And today, our question for the green room is, drum roll, people want to know, what book cover colors sell the most? Mystery, that would be black, gray. Romance, it would be pink, red, purple, white. Fantasy, it would be purple, blue, green, silver, and gold. Sci-fi, black, gray, red, green, and purple. And if you're writing a horror book, red and black sells the most. So this is just one of those questions that we get from people when they're looking to do their book covers. And this is an important question because it really helps to market your book. When persons hear what genre the book is, or when they're looking for a particular genre of book, they're looking for a certain color. They're looking to, and those are the colors that really sell. So I see from your book, Officer Carr, that you're right on the nose with that black, that dark, solid, the dark black, blue, those very rich colors. And we have to make sure that as authors, when we write our books, that we keep in mind all of these little things, right? It may seem like a small thing, but sometimes it may be the difference between you selling 1,000 books and you selling 5 books, right? When people see a book, I mean, what a difference it could have been if your book cover talking about, say, you want to be a police officer, and it probably was, let us say, for instance, a nice pretty pink. A nice fluorescent orange or green, something looking a little carnivalish. That makes a difference when people are looking at your book. And I think you made a right decision. I really like the cover of your book. And you spoke right to the heart of the matter. Get to it one time. It's about being a police officer. We got to have the lights, right? And we got to have that police tape. Pronto, that's it. We'd rather go all over the place wondering what we should put on it. And I think you really hit the mark. Oh, tell me, when you're looking at book sales, how have your book sales been going? What's your response? What is your perception of the response you're getting from the public about your book?
Well, initially, when I wrote the book, I had no real numbers per se, in terms of an expectation for sales. So almost every sale is pretty good for me, and the reason I say that is because I understood that I am a first-time author, and it takes a lot of work for persons to get to know who the author is. Let's be real, persons are not just going to go into a store, see a random book that has Arthur Carr on it and say, let me read this. So it takes a lot in the background for persons. Oh, this is Arthur Carr, right? That guy I saw on TV, on Tobago TV and on the book club corner. Those sort of things before you get, the sort of massive sales. But definitely the support that I've gotten thus far has been pretty good. It's more than I expected. It's over 100, a few hundred have been sold thus far. I'm not a bestseller, in the millions, but who knows? In time, perhaps that might be the outcome.
So sometimes some books they are slow burn, and I think that's what your book may be, a slow burn where people are warming themselves up to that topic. A lot of times the fiction books and the horror, sci-fi, romance is the top seller, they say. But we need to all be. I can imagine. The non-fiction genre is one that's picking up speed and steam. And your book, I am sure persons are going to be gravitating towards this book. I think this is a fantastic tool for career guidance, especially for young persons thinking of the careers and perhaps what they may need to study to get into such a career. You know, I think it's fantastic. We want to thank our part sponsors for sponsoring The Green Room. We have Mansa Enterprises, and Mansa Enterprises is a book and stationery store right here in Calder Hall, and they're doing a special promotion where you can win right here on Book Club Corner this $150 book voucher. Go to our Facebook page, our Instagram. We're going to be putting up the voucher on our Instagram and Facebook page, and wherever you see that voucher, just comment. If you're first to comment on that voucher post on our social media, you are going to be the winner of that $150 voucher from Mansa. We also have part sponsor. This is LR Books by Latoya, a collection of poems. And this is an amazing book. Tobago Book Club read this book for one of our months of reading. Every month we read a different book in Tobago Book Club. And we read Latoya's book. It's a book of poetry taking you through different phases and viewpoints and perspectives of life. And we loved this book. Get this book. It's a collection of poems by Latoya Roberts. An amazing book. Thank you for our part sponsors. And don't forget, you can go to our Facebook page, Instagram page. That's Book Club Corner TT, and win that $150 voucher from Mansa Enterprises bookstore right in Calder Hall. So we're moving on today. We're so happy to have everybody here today. You know, Saturday was Dr. Earl Lovelace's birthday. So happy belated birthday to Dr. Lovelace. And as well, tomorrow we'll be celebrating Nelson Mandela Day. And we are so proud of one of our international heroes, stood for justice. And it's quite telling that we're talking to somebody today who is a law enforcement officer and who's also fighting for justice and for equality in our communities in terms of making sure that we all are able to live comfortably, happy, crime-free, right? Officer Carr, we want to thank you for being here with us today and for sharing your book and your story. Before you leave us today, I want to, share with us authors, publishers, just everyday persons who may be thinking of becoming a writer. One piece of advice you would share with them in terms of what you would say to them would carry them well into becoming a published author?
Well, I think it starts with self-belief. A lot of persons, we find ourselves doubting our abilities. Writing a book is, of course, no easy task. I mean, if it was, I think everyone would have had a book. It's certainly a challenge. But if you think that there's something that you want to write about, there's something you want to express, I think it's just a matter of slowly getting it done. There's no need for you to have a timeline on it in terms of at this point. Eventually, of course, you have to put some restrictions and set some goals and targets. But essentially, the goal is to just start writing. So you want to do a book on climbing mango trees. Today, you start with, all right, the first thing is you have to do some stretches. And you could rest that down for some days. And then the next day, you have some thoughts and you realize, oh, let me go on to, all right, I must stretch my left leg up onto the first branch, and then those sort of things. You just break the book down into pieces, and then there's no need for you to have any structure at the first juncture at all. You can start from the back and come to the front. You can start in the middle. There's no one telling you that you must start from the start and flow all the way to the end. So once you tackle the challenge in that way, I think most of us can actually get through and accomplish, the task of writing a book. And of course, I also believe that, interdependence is something we have to think about. we all feel that we can do everything on our own and we're independent. But I had some help. The publisher, Cheryl Bernard from Idle Sky Publishing, Shirlon helped me with the editing, Shirlon James, and then of course getting persons to help you market, features like you, Jewel here at Book Club Corner, other persons, Lana the editor, Lana the educator, on YouTube, a lot of these persons would have helped me along the way. And that is all it's about, networking, partnering with persons. And of course, social media. Put your social media out, for me, it's me on Instagram and TikTok after the author. And yeah, eventually things do come together, and it's not as hard or as, as mighty a mountain to climb as you may think. It's just something you just have to chip away at, and eventually you'll get it done.
I think that what you shared, well said. I could not have said it any better. How do you eat an elephant, basically? One bite at a time, right? You can't get the whole thing eaten all at once. And that's what you're saying. 1, it takes community. And 2, take your time, break it up into pieces, and I think that is something very valuable for us to take away, not just for writing or being an author, but for everything we're doing in life. Take it a step at a time. I couldn't help feel targeted though, Officer Carr, when you started to talk about how to climb a mango tree. How are you in my business?
I don't can't climb a mango tree. Don't.
I could climb a mango tree. That's the thing. I right now have a mango tree I'm looking at to see if I could get it. Any people mango tree, because my mango's finished, and I feel like mango season came and went so fast. What's going on?
Yeah, it was like a blur. It was.
I mean, come on. I went from eating 12 mangoes a day, and please don't come for me about how much sugar I was consuming. Mine won a business, okay? Very good. I was eating like 12 mangoes a day, and this is to-dos because, we have a little tree close by, and then all of a sudden, no mangoes. I was like, what's up with that? So, listen, as you say, if you want to write a book about how to climb a mango tree, perfect. Marketed during the mango season. I think it will well sell. Thank you for being with us here today, Officer Carr. It was very, very interesting, very entertaining. You share so many gems. We must have you back again. And next time, hopefully, we'll have some mangoes to share with you. But today, we had some sweet potato wine from Jofield Wines. We want to thank all our sponsors, part sponsors, full sponsors. We want to thank the community that comes together to make Book Club Corner interesting and to make it what it is. And stay with us as we show you what's happening next week. Next week on Book Club Corner, we will be looking at contracts, compensation, and talking about pages and protection for authors. How do you look at your compensation? How do you get compensated? And we'll be talking to some subject matter experts on the topic. Come back with us next week, Wednesday, 11 a.m., while we speak to subject matters on the understanding of contracts, copyright, and compensation for authors in an AI world. We'll see you next week, and cheers to you.
Last year, October 2023, the island tilted. The peaceful bliss of sea, sun, and sand was transcended as we took to the streets to revel in paradise.
Yeah! We love such a nice place.
Tobago Carnival right here. We're not leave it till we go right down.
It's the greatest, it's the best, it's safe, and it's beautiful.
I love Tobago, baby. Coming back next year. Hey!
Playing pan on the streets is a magical experience. When the band strike up, it's rhythm, steel and powder. This is Tobago Carnival, Pan in Paradise.
Tobago is the best.
Tobago Carnival is the new home for the legend of Calypso. Where else can you get sweet Calypso music that gives you that nostalgic feeling?
Soca Titans is we title, is we monarch. We built artists from scratch who can perform with the best. Real Titans of Soca.
When last you've been to a party, plenty women looking so nice. We must be in paradise.
This year, Ritual takes on new space and dimension. Traditions will be reimagined, breaking free and taking on new meaning on the road.
I love the energy!
This year, the revelry is bigger and better. More colors, more meaning, great packages for the masqueraders. Tobago Carnival is freedom.
This year promoting safety in all events for Tobago Carnival. This year promoting whining, not minding people business. This year promoting clean fun, security and freedom.
Freedom to be any version of yourself that you choose to be with love and safety. Here, you have permission to be you, uninhibited and free.
So what you waiting on? This year, this October 2024, experience the ritual, revel in paradise, release yourself. From the greatest little island on the planet, this is the Tobago Carnival 2024.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed partners and sponsors, and most importantly, our beloved communities, welcome to the Tobago Heritage Festival 2024. As we embark on the 37th year of this festival, our theme is We Come Back. Back to our communities, back to our villages, back to our true indigenous heritage presentations and productions. We are bringing back iconic events such as Yesterday's Children, Bell Manor Riots, and Courtship Codes. We want to highlight the importance of coming back to our roots, celebrating the people and the communities that make Tobago so special. Get ready for an unforgettable experience as we say, we come back to our true essence. We want to encourage each and every one of you to continue to support our cultural development and preservation in any way that you can. Your support is truly invaluable. Together, we can continue to make a positive impact that will be felt for generations to come. Thank you and see you in July.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with immense pride and excitement that I address you to officially launch the 2024 Tobago Heritage Festival. The Tobago Heritage Festival is not just an event, it is a journey back to our roots. This year's theme, We Come Back, back to our communities, back to our villages, back to our true indigenous heritage presentations and productions. It captures the true essence of revitalizing the culture and traditions that have shaped our identity for generations. This year marks the 37th successful hosting of the festival, and we are proud to officially dub the month of July as Tobago Heritage Month, a time when our island comes alive with rhythms, flavors, and stories of our ancestors. The festival continues to offer an unparalleled opportunity for economic growth on the island. Every stakeholder, from local artisan and vendor to hospitality businesses and transportation services, stand to benefit. Our vibrant cultural displays will attract visitors, boost tourism, and provide a significant economic uplift to the island. The heart of this festival beats in our communities. We are empowering each village to manage its own productions to ensure authenticity and sustainability. The Tobago Festival Commissions Limited and the Tobago House of Assembly are here to support you, fostering an environment where our heritage can flourish sustainably. As we embark on this journey, let us celebrate the essence of Tobago. Let us honor our heritage and support our communities as we showcase the vibrant culture that makes our island unique. Thank you.